The Galactic Hall of Concord was built to impress. Floating above the shining core of the planet Acheron, it looked like a diamond ring in the stars. Thousands of alien species had gathered inside, their voices mixing into a low, endless hum. The Council of the Galaxy had come together to decide the fate of one small blue world, Earth. At the far end of the hall, under the bright silver lights, the representatives of humanity stood in silence. They were few, only 3 of them. Ambassador Reyes, calm but tired. Captain Darnell, his military uniform marked with scars of many wars. And Dr. Alara Singh, her eyes sharp behind her glasses. The others looked at them like a joke. Tall, scaled beings whispered to each other, their tongues flicking in mock amusement. The crystal-bodied Seraphites laughed openly, their laughter echoing like bells. Even the massive insectoid Cathar clicked their mandibles in what could only be described as disgust. "Humans," said the council speaker, a huge being made of shifting light. "You come before us asking for aid." Again, Ambassador Reyes took a breath. His voice was calm but carried through the chamber. "Yes, because the swarm has returned. Our colonies on the edge of the Orion Belt are burning. Billions of lives are at risk. Not just human lives, but trade routes, supply chains." Laughter cut him off. The speaker's light shimmered brighter, almost mocking. "Do you truly believe your species matters that much? The last time you fought the swarm, your fleets were reduced to ash. You call yourselves defenders of the weak, but you are the weakest among us." The hall filled with cruel amusement. Some aliens pounded the floor with their claws. Others waved tendrils, repeating the word weak in different tongues. Alara clenched her fists. Captain Darnell's jaw tightened. Reyes simply lowered his gaze. The council didn't notice the silence that followed their laughter. They didn't see the quiet, cold fury behind human eyes. Outside the chamber, the humans walked in silence down the long, glowing corridor. The walls shimmered with alien designs and symbols, things made to remind humans they were the newcomers here. Finally, Darnell broke the silence. "They won't help." "They never will," Reyes nodded. "They believe we are beneath them, that we will break." Alara stopped walking. "So, what do we do now?" Reyes looked through the transparent wall at the stars beyond. Endless, burning, cold. "We remind them," he said quietly. "We remind them who we are." That night, as the alien sun set over the shining towers of Acheron, the human ship Valiant Dawn prepared for departure. The crew was restless. Soldiers, engineers, scientists, all carrying the same quiet anger. No one shouted. No one gave speeches. They simply worked. In the command center, Captain Darnell stood before the holographic display of the swarm's growing territory. Red spreading through the black like infection. "They think we're done," he muttered. Alara, standing beside him, looked at the glowing lines. "They always think that, right before we surprise them." Reyes entered carrying a datapad. "The Council refuses military support. But they've allowed us to observe the situation on our own. They're watching, waiting for us to fail. Then let's give them something to watch," Darnell said. 2 days later, deep in the unguarded edges of the Orion Belt, the human fleet appeared. Not large, not powerful, but precise, 12 ships. Old, repaired, patched with different generations of technology. Yet each one carried the same symbol, a silver star on a black field. The humans called it the Last Stand Fleet. From orbit, the swarm looked endless. Dark clouds of living metal moving like a storm across space. Worlds vanished under their shadow. The communications officer's voice shook. "Sir, their numbers are in the billions." Captain Darnell's eyes didn't move. "I know." He opened a channel to all ships. His voice carried across the void. "This is Captain Darnell of the human fleet. The Council thinks we'll die here. The galaxy expects us to run. But that's not what humans do. We fight, even when we stand alone." Silence. Then across the network, one voice answered. Then another. And another. "Standing by, Captain. For Earth. For the species that refuses to kneel." The stars lit up as engines roared to life. Meanwhile, far away in the council hall, alien eyes watched the human transmissions on their screens. The council speaker leaned forward, his voice filled with disbelief. "They're attacking without support? That's suicide." One of the crystal Seraphites smiled coldly. "Perhaps that is best. Let them burn." But a few, very few, among the aliens said nothing. The old ones, who had fought alongside humans before, felt something stir inside them, because they remembered. They remembered what humans did when cornered. They remembered the species that once turned dying worlds into weapons and hopeless battles into legends. Out there, in the silence between stars, the human fleet moved like fire. The first wave of swarm ships came, millions of them. The humans did not retreat. Missiles cut through the dark. Lasers turned night into dawn. Every ship, every pilot, every soldier knew this could be their last stand. Inside the valiant dawn, Ilara looked at the screen, numbers dropping fast, ships vanishing one by one. She whispered, "They're going to see. They're all going to see." Reyes beside her simply nodded. "The Council laughed at Earth today," he said. "But tomorrow, they will remember our name." The valiant dawn plunged forward into the heart of the storm, and far away, in the Galactic Council's grand chamber, the laughter had stopped. The human fleet burned like a trail of sparks in the endless black. Against the darkness of space, 12 ships were almost nothing. Small dots of light surrounded by billions of swarm vessels. Yet for every alien sensor, those 12 lights refused to fade. Captain Darnell stood in the command center of the Valiant Dawn, watching the battlefield spread across the screen. "Status?" he asked, his voice calm though the deck trembled under his feet. "Shields at 60%, Ilara replied. "Forward batteries still operational. The Helios and Titan are requesting new targeting data." Reyes looked up from the comms panel. "Swarm numbers increasing, Captain." "They're closing from all sides." Darnell didn't blink. "Good. Let them come." The human fleet had no massive dreadnoughts, no superweapons, no alien magic. What they had were brains and a refusal to die quietly. The ships moved in strange, unpredictable ways. They darted, vanished, then appeared again from impossible angles. The swarm tried to adapt, but each time they changed tactics, the humans shifted faster. Dozens of swarm vessels exploded into clouds of light and debris. The Titan was first to go. A swarm tendril pierced its hull, breaking the ship apart in a blinding flash. "Titan is gone," a voice said softly through the comms. No one spoke for a moment. Then Darnell said quietly, "Mark their coordinates." They bought us time. On the Galactic Council's observation deck, silence filled the room. The screen showed human ships burning, yet still fighting. "They should have retreated hours ago," said the speaker. "What drives them to continue?" An old reptilian admiral, scales gray with age, hissed softly. "You have not fought beside them, Speaker. Humans don't retreat when something matters to them. They evolve." The crystal-bodied Seraphite ambassador laughed. "Evolve? They are dying." The admiral's yellow eyes glowed. "Perhaps. But even dying, they learn how to kill you." The laughter died quickly. Back in the battlefield, the swarm unleashed its full force. A massive creature, part machine, part living hive, emerged from the void. It was bigger than a city, its body made of shifting black metal and glowing veins. Ilara's screen lit up red. "Captain, something huge is coming out of hyperspace." The Valiant Dawn's sensors shook as the creature screamed through vacuum. Reyes whispered, "That's not a ship. That's a planet killer." For a second, fear ran through the bridge. Then Darnell's voice cut through it like steel. "Target its core. All ships, focus fire." "But sir," Ilara said, "it'll tear us apart before we get close enough." "Then we'll tear it apart first." The human fleet turned and dove toward the massive creature. Every ship pushed its engines past the limit. Warning lights flashed, systems overheated, hulls cracked, but no one stopped. One by one, human ships launched their final payloads. The Helios rammed straight into the creature's mouth, detonating its fusion core. The explosion lit up the entire sector. The Vanguard fired its last missile. A weapon built in secret, carrying a human-made singularity drive. It struck deep into the monster's heart. The creature screamed, a sound that shook space itself. Then it began to fall apart. Pieces of living metal spun into the void like broken wings. On board the Valiant Dawn, the crew cheered, cried, shouted, but only for a moment. Because the victory came with a price. Half the fleet was gone. The swarm was still coming. Ilara turned toward the captain. "We stopped the big one, but we can't hold this line forever." Darnell nodded. "Then we make it count." He opened a private channel to all remaining ships. This is Captain Darnell. The Council won't remember the ships we lost, but they will remember what humans did here. We're not just fighting for Earth anymore. We're fighting to remind the galaxy what it means to be human. Orders, sir? A pilot asked over comms. Fire everything you have. And if you run out of weapons, throw the ship. Back at the Council, the alien delegates stared at the screen in silence. The speaker's light dimmed. They're still fighting, even now. They are mad, the reptilian admiral smiled. No, they are human. 3 hours later, the swarm retreated. It wasn't victory, not completely. But for the first time in galactic history, the swarm had turned back. The humans didn't cheer. They didn't celebrate. Their ships drifted among the wreckage, broken, smoking, alive. Reyes sat beside Darnell on the command bridge, his voice quiet. We lost almost everyone. Darnell looked at the stars. They'll say it was luck, or desperation, but deep down, the galaxy knows. We made them bleed. Ilara walked up beside them, her eyes wet but burning with pride. The Council laughed at us, Captain. What do you think they're doing now? Darnell smiled faintly, listening. On Azeron, the Galactic Council watched the final feed of the human fleet standing in the fire. The laughter was gone. The speaker looked uneasy for the first time in centuries. They survived, the old admiral nodded slowly. And now, they will remember, because in that moment every world in the galaxy saw something they had forgotten. The humans didn't need permission. They didn't need help. They only needed a reason to fight. The news of the battle spread faster than light. Every network, every system, every ship that could transmit a signal carried the same message across the galaxy. The humans held the line. For centuries, the swarm had devoured everything in its path. Fleets, planets, even civilizations. None had ever stopped it. Until now, 12 human ships. Billions of enemies. And somehow, they survived. The galaxy could not understand it, but they could not ignore it either. In the grand chambers of the Galactic Council, the air was heavy with silence. The laughter that once echoed there had vanished completely. The speaker, his form of pure energy dimmer than before, stood before the giant screen, showing the wreckage around the Orion belt. Smoke, fire, the shattered remains of both the swarm and humanity's fleet. They did it, whispered one of the Council members. The old reptilian admiral nodded. They did more than that. They changed the balance of power. A crystal-bodied Seraphite rose angrily. Nonsense. A few ships surviving does not make them powerful. The admiral's gaze was cold. Power isn't in numbers. It's in will. And right now, the humans have more of it than all of us combined. The Council murmured in discomfort, because deep down, they all knew he was right. Far away, in the ruins of the human fleet, the valiant Dawn drifted silently. Its hull was cracked, engines half dead, but it was still alive. Inside, Captain Darnell stood on the bridge, staring at the stars. Ilara's voice broke the quiet. Rescue ships are hours away. We've sent distress beacons. Reyes was reading reports. Of 12 ships, only 4 survived. Thousands gone. Darnell didn't answer right away. He watched the faint trails of light from what was once the human line. They knew what they were dying for, he said finally. And the galaxy just saw it. Ilara turned toward him. You think they'll understand? Darnell smiled, but it wasn't a happy smile. They'll understand, yes. But they'll also fear us now. On dozens of alien worlds, news reports showed the same scenes. Humans fighting till their ships broke apart. Humans charging into the storm. Humans standing when everyone else would have run. Young alien recruits watched in awe. Merchants spoke of trade with Earth rising overnight. And in dark bars across the rim, smugglers whispered, maybe humanity isn't as weak as the Council says. Something new was spreading through the galaxy. Respect, mixed with fear, back on Earth. Millions gathered in silence as the fleet's last transmission was played on every screen. Captain Darnell's final words before the feed cut were now etched in history. They may laugh at us, but we are the species that does not kneel. Families cried. Children watched with pride. And for the first time in a century, the entire planet spoke with one voice. Weeks later, the surviving human fleet returned home. The valiant Dawn landed on the repaired docks of Luna Base. The moment its ramp opened, thunderous cheers filled the air. Soldiers saluted. Engineers wept. Reyes, standing beside Darnell, whispered, "They're calling it the Orion miracle." Darnell shook his head. It wasn't a miracle. It was choice. Every one of those men and women made a choice to stand. Ilara smiled faintly. And now the galaxy will remember it. But far beyond human space, not everyone was celebrating. In the shadowed corners of the galaxy, the swarm was not dead. It was changing. Broken fragments of its mind scattered through the void, whispering, rebuilding. And in one of those fragments, something new was born. Something that remembered the humans. Something that hated them. Meanwhile, back in the council, debates turned into arguments. "The humans acted without approval," shouted the Seraphite ambassador. "They endangered galactic stability." "Endangered?" The reptilian admiral hissed. "They saved you. If the swarm had reached the core worlds, even your glass towers would be dust by now." The speaker tried to calm them. "Enough. The humans will be invited to the next session. We must decide what role they will play in the council moving forward." "Role," another alien sneered. "You mean control. If we give them power, they'll use it." The admiral smiled darkly. "They already have power. You just haven't realized it yet." That night, as Darnell stood looking at Earth from orbit, Reyes approached him. "The council sent an invitation," Reyes said. "They want to honor us." Darnell didn't look away from the glowing blue planet. "Honor them or watch us more closely?" Reyes sighed. "Probably both." Darnell smiled faintly. "Then let them watch. We'll show them what humanity really is." Ilara joined them, her expression serious. "Sir, if we go back there, we need to be ready." "They won't laugh this time, they'll plot." Darnell nodded. "Then it's time to play their game. Only this time we play to win." Across the stars, the echoes of the battle continued. For the first time in thousands of years, the Galactic Council felt something new. Uncertainty. Because somewhere out there, a small, fragile world had stood against the dark. And won. And every species, every leader, every empire began asking the same quiet question. If humans can do that, what else are they capable of? The Galactic Council chamber shone brighter than ever that morning. Holographic banners floated above the marble-like floor, displaying the Council's symbol, unity through peace. But the word peace felt empty now, because the chamber had changed. This time, when the humans entered, no one laughed. Ambassador Reyes led the way, his uniform crisp and dark. Behind him walked Dr. Ilara Singh and Captain Darnell. Every step they took echoed like a challenge in the silent hall. Thousands of alien eyes turned toward them, not with mockery, but with caution. The council speaker's glowing form dimmed slightly as he spoke. "Representatives of Earth, we welcome you back to the council." Darnell's eyes were calm, unreadable. "You mean we're finally being allowed to speak again?" The speaker hesitated. "Your actions at the Orion Belt have been noted. The galaxy owes you gratitude." Reyes smiled thinly. "Gratitude is nice, but we came for something more." A wave of uneasy whispers moved through the crowd. The humans didn't sound humble. They sounded dangerous. Dr. Ilara stepped forward, holding a holographic device. "These are recordings from the Orion battle. The swarm is rebuilding. The threat isn't over." Images of burning ships and living metal flashed above the chamber. The delegates shifted uncomfortably. Some looked away. Reyes's voice hardened. "While you sat in comfort, our people died to protect your borders. You laughed at our plea for help, yet we stood alone and stopped the darkness. Now we demand a seat on the High Council." The room erupted. Alien voices shouted in protest. Deep, shrill, mechanical. "No human has ever—" "They are too young. They will start another war." The speaker's voice rose over the chaos. Silence. The lights dimmed. All eyes turned to him. "Earth has proven its strength. A motion for consideration will be placed. But," he added, his tone sharp, "membership in the High Council comes with responsibility and oversight." Reyes nodded. "We understand. But make no mistake, humanity will no longer ask for permission to survive." After the session, the humans were led to their private quarters, a luxurious suite built high above the city of Acheron. From there they could see the planet's endless towers and floating bridges glowing like veins of light. Ilara stood by the window. "They still don't trust us," Reyes smirked. "Good, fear is a kind of respect." Darnell stayed silent. He was watching a message flashing on his wrist device, encrypted from Earth Command. When the others left the room, he opened it. Classified report. Swarm fragments detected near uncharted sectors. New movement patterns. Possible intelligence activity. Proceed with caution. Darnell's jaw tightened. It's not over, he muttered. Later that night, in the Council's secret lower chambers, a different meeting was taking place. The Seraphite ambassador, the one who once mocked humanity, spoke to a shadowy figure hidden behind a veil of holographic static. They're becoming dangerous, the ambassador hissed. Their influence is spreading. Planets are beginning to side with them, the shadowy voice replied calmly, coldly. Then control them. Or destroy them before they control you, the ambassador hesitated. But they just defeated the swarm, the voice interrupted. No one defeats the swarm, it learns. It waits, it will return, and when it does, the humans will lead it. Or be consumed by it. The hologram faded, leaving the ambassador trembling. Meanwhile, in the human quarters, Alara couldn't sleep. She sat by her console, scrolling through intercepted council data. Something wasn't right. The files showed unusual energy readings, deep in council space. The same kind of readings recorded before the swarm's last appearance. Captain, she whispered through her communicator. You need to see this. Minutes later, Darnell and Reyes arrived. Alara displayed the hologram, swirling clouds of energy hidden behind a council military blockade. They're covering it up, she said. They knew the swarm wasn't gone. Reyes clenched his fists. So they're lying to the entire galaxy. Darnell's eyes narrowed. No, they're doing something worse. They're waiting. The next day when the council reconvened, humanity played their move. Reyes walked straight to the center of the hall. Before you decide our seat, he said loudly, you should know what your silence has cost. He pressed a button on his datapad. The holographic ceiling lit up, showing live footage from the hidden region Alara had discovered. Gasps filled the chamber. A massive dark structure was being built there, alien in design, pulsating with the same energy as the swarm. What is that? Demanded the reptilian admiral. Reyes looked at the speaker. Why don't you tell them? The speaker's form flickered uneasily. That information was classified. It was for the safety of the galaxy, or for your control of it, Darnell said coldly. The chamber fell into chaos again, this time not against the humans, but against the council itself. Accusations flew. Some demanded investigation, others demanded war, and through it all the humans stood in silence, watching the mighty council fall into its own storm. Outside the chamber, Alara whispered to Darnell, we just made enemies out of everyone. He nodded. Yes, but we also just told the truth. And the truth can't be silenced forever. Reyes joined them, his expression grim. They'll come for us now, politically or otherwise. Are you ready for that? Darnell looked at him, a faint fire burning in his eyes. We were born ready. He turned back toward the massive windows where the stars of the galaxy shimmered like cold eyes watching from the dark. Let them plot, he said quietly. Because next time, humanity won't just fight for survival. He paused. We'll fight for control, silence. That was how the new war began. Not with fleets or weapons, but with whispers. Weeks had passed since the humans exposed the Council's secret project. Officially, there was peace. Unofficially, every species in the galaxy was choosing a side. The Galactic Council tried to look calm, but behind the marble walls of power, the alliances were shifting like sand. And in that quiet chaos, humanity became both respected and feared. On the shining capital world of Acheron, Captain Darnell walked through the busy corridors of the Council's upper district. Holograms of alien delegates filled the air, arguing over treaties and security zones. To most, he was just another soldier. But every guard who saw him stepped aside. Humans had earned that. He entered a small meeting room where Ambassador Reyes and Dr. Alara waited. The lights were dim. They've started cutting off our trade routes, Alara said softly. 3 supply ships from Earth vanished near the belt. Reyes frowned. The Council blames pirates, but I think it's deliberate. Darnell crossed his arms. They want to make us bend without open war. Classic move. Alara looked at him. So what do we do? He gave a small, dangerous smile. We don't bend, we adapt. That night, in a secret hangar far below Acheron's surface, a group of human engineers worked quietly under the blue light of plasma torches. Their new project, Project Whisper, was born. Tiny drones, invisible to sensors, designed to slip through the void and collect information. Not for attack, for truth. Darnell watched as the first drone lifted from the platform and vanished into thin air. "Let's see what they're hiding," he said. A week later, Alara's screen flashed red. "Captain, the drone found something." She projected the data, coordinates far beyond known space, deep inside a nebula where no ship should survive. At the center of it was a structure, enormous, alive and pulsing with a strange rhythm. "The swarm," she whispered. "It's rebuilding again." Reyes clenched his fists. "And the council knew. That's why they tried to silence us." Darnell's expression darkened. "Then the silent war has already begun." In the following days, strange events spread across the galaxy. Human outpost exploded, accidentally. A council satellite was found hacked, mysteriously, and encrypted transmissions whispered about a new human weapon, something powerful enough to frighten the great empires. None of it was confirmed. None of it could be proven. But fear doesn't need proof. Soon propaganda filled every communication channel. Humans are preparing for domination. Earth cannot be trusted. They will bring war again. And the galaxy listened. Inside the Valiant Dawn, now repaired and stationed near Earth's moon, Darnell studied the growing unrest. He knew what was happening. Psychological warfare. The Council wanted humanity isolated before the next swarm wave arrived. Reyes joined him on the bridge. "Our colonies are scared. The smaller species are pulling back their ambassadors. We're alone again." Darnell didn't look away from the stars. "Good. That's when we're at our best." Meanwhile, Alara intercepted a secret council communication. When she decrypted it, her hands shook. It was a meeting log. The Seraphite ambassador and several council members were discussing something called Protocol Silence. The words made her blood run cold. "Neutralize human leadership before the swarm returns." She ran to Darnell and Reyes, her voice urgent. "They're planning to remove us. Not just politically, permanently." Reyes took the tablet, reading the message. "Assassination orders. Hidden under security measures. They're afraid of us." Darnell's eyes hardened. "Then fear will be their mistake." That night, a storm raged above Acheron. Lightning split the sky, glowing across the city's golden towers. In the council's private wing, 2 human guards stood outside Reyes's quarters. At exactly 02, the lights flickered, then went out. Shadows moved fast. A blade of light flashed. One guard fell before he could shout, but the second fired, alarms blaring through the entire building. Darnell was the first to arrive. He burst into Reyes's room just as an assassin, cloaked in alien armor, leapt from the balcony. Without hesitation, Darnell fired his plasma pistol. The figure vanished into the storm, leaving only smoke. Reyes was shaken but alive. "They've started it," he said. "The silent war is no longer silent." By morning, the attack had become public. Council security blamed rogue elements, but everyone knew the truth. Someone powerful wanted the humans gone. Alara addressed the broadcast media directly. Her words were calm but cut like a blade. "We fought the swarm for everyone. We bled for the galaxy. If they wish to erase us, they will learn what happens when humanity stops protecting and starts fighting back." Her message went viral within hours. On dozens of worlds, people began to question their leaders. Some whispered support for Earth, others prepared for war. That night, the 3 humans met again, gathered around a holographic map filled with red warning zones. Reyes broke the silence. "We can't win a war against the entire galaxy." Darnell shook his head. "Not with guns. But wars aren't only fought with weapons. They're fought with truth." He pointed to the nebula coordinates Alara had discovered. "The swarm is their real enemy. If we can prove it's returning, and that the Council knew, the galaxy will turn against them, not us." Alara nodded. "Then we go there. We show everyone what's hiding in that nebula." Reyes exhaled slowly. "It's a suicide mission." Darnell gave a thin smile. "Good, that means it's ours." Outside in the cold void, the stars seemed to tremble. Far away, deep inside the nebula, the swarm stirred again, millions of eyes awakening in the dark, and somewhere in its endless mind, a new voice whispered, "The humans survived once. This time, we adapt." Darkness swallowed everything beyond the viewport. The stars disappeared one by one as the valiant dawn entered the outer edge of the Carthos Nebula, a forbidden region no council ship dared to explore. For Captain Darnell, the silence felt heavier than any battlefield. Static whispered in his headset, and blue lightning rippled through the clouds of dust and gas around them. Behind him, Dr. Alara checked her scanners. "Radiation spikes every few seconds," she said. "And something alive is interfering with our sensors." Ambassador Reyes stood near the observation deck, his voice quiet. "So this is where the Council's secrets hide." Darnell nodded grimly. "Let's find out what they're so afraid of." Hours passed as the valiant dawn crawled deeper. The nebula's electric storms painted the ship's hull in ghostly light. Every now and then, a flicker of movement passed through the mist, like something vast shifting just beyond visibility. Ilara's instruments beeped. "There, 200 clicks ahead. Energy readings." Strong, rhythmic. Darnell leaned closer. "Put it on screen." The holographic display shimmered to life. Out of the swirling fog emerged a colossal structure, half machine, half organic. It pulsed slowly like a heart made of metal. Reyes whispered, "What is that?" Ilara's eyes widened. "It's not a station. It's alive and growing." The closer they got, the stronger the vibrations became. The ship's hull groaned under invisible pressure. Then suddenly, a signal. It came through the comms in broken mechanical whispers. "Reconstruct. Directive. Eliminate threat." Ilara's hands shook. "It's the swarm. They're reactivating themselves." Reyes turned pale. "Then the Council didn't destroy them. They just buried them here." Darnell clenched his jaw. "And now they're waking up." "Captain," Ilara said, "we're picking up multiple power surges. They're scanning us." "Shut everything down," Darnell ordered. "Engines to minimum. No lights." The valiant dawn went dark, floating silently in the glowing fog. Outside, enormous shadows drifted past, shapes like twisted ships, their surfaces crawling with biomechanical limbs. The swarm had changed. They were no longer just machines. They were something worse, something learning. Darnell whispered, "Record everything. The galaxy needs to see this." Suddenly, one of the smaller creatures turned toward them. Its many eyes lit up, red, unblinking, focused. Ilara gasped. "It's seen us." Before anyone could react, a blinding beam of energy struck the ship's shields. The hull screamed under the impact. "Shields at 40%. The pilot shouted, "Return fire!" Darnell ordered. The valiant dawn unleashed a storm of plasma bolts tearing through the creature's armor. It exploded, but more signals appeared on radar. Reyes watched in horror as hundreds of red dots swarmed toward them from the heart of the nebula. "They're coming. All of them." The ship trembled as wave after wave hit their shields. Ilara's hands danced over the controls, rerouting power. "We can't hold this. The radiation's burning through our systems." Darnell made a decision. "Plot a jump anywhere outside the nebula." The pilot hesitated. "The interference will tear us apart." "Better torn apart than eaten alive," Darnell said. Ilara suddenly turned. "Wait, the main core, that living structure? It's transmitting something. If I can boost our recorder through its signal, we can send proof to every network in the galaxy." Reyes looked at her. "You'll fry the ship." "I know," she said softly. "But the galaxy has to see." Darnell met her gaze. There was no hesitation in hers, only fire. He nodded once. "Do it." Electric arcs ripped across the bridge as Ilara overcharged the comms array. The ship's systems howled. The nebula lit up like a storm of blue fire. A massive pulse burst from the valiant dawn, carrying the video feed of the swarm awakening. Every council network, every planetary relay, every ship within range, all of them received it. For 10 long seconds, the galaxy saw the truth. The swarm was back, and the council had lied. But the swarm noticed the transmission. Their collective voice filled the ship's speakers. "Interference detected. Terminate origin." A massive creature, larger than the valiant dawn itself, broke free from the heart of the nebula. Its body shimmered with liquid metal, its eyes glowing like small suns. Ilara's console exploded in sparks. "They're locking onto us!" Darnell shouted, "Jump now!" The pilot slammed the controls. The stars stretched. Space itself twisted. And with a violent burst of light, the valiant Dawn vanished just as the creature struck. Silence returned to the nebula. The great entity hovered where the ship had been, its mind connecting with thousands of others. Data spread confirmed. Humanity has warned them. Adjust parameters. Adapt. The creature slowly sank back into the fog, vanishing once more into the endless dark. Meanwhile, far across the galaxy, the council chamber erupted into chaos. Delegates shouted over one another as the footage played on every holoscreen. The living machines, the heartbeat structure, the undeniable proof. The Seraphite ambassador's face turned pale. This cannot be true. But it was, and everyone knew who had revealed it. Earth, on the valiant Dawn, now drifting far from the nebula, alarms blared and fires burned. Darnell stumbled through the smoke toward Ilara, who lay near the control panel. She was alive, barely. "Did it send?" she whispered. Darnell smiled faintly. The whole galaxy saw it. Reyes appeared beside them, exhausted but determined. Then the council can't hide anymore. They'll have to face the truth, or face extinction. Outside the viewport, the stars shimmered again, quiet, distant, and watchful. Darnell looked toward them and whispered, "We've shown them the truth. Now, we'll show them what humans do when the truth is ignored." The galaxy was no longer silent. Every screen, every transmission, every news feed replayed the same shocking video. The swarm rising again in the shadows of the Karthos Nebula. The truth had shattered the Council's control. Some races panicked. Some prepared for war, but only one species, in the humans, stood tall not with fear but with purpose. Earth had warned them once. This time it would lead them. In orbit above Earth, the valiant Dawn floated like a wounded beast. Scars covered its hull, sparks flickered across its metal skin. But inside, its heart still beat. Captain Darnell stood on the bridge, gazing down at the blue planet below. It looked peaceful, but he knew peace never lasted. Ambassador Reyes entered quietly, holding a datapad. Every council world has seen the footage. Some are demanding answers. Others want revenge. Darnell didn't turn. And the council? They're calling us liars again, Reyes said bitterly. But the smaller species, the miners, the traders, the ones who lost people to the swarm, they believe us. Some are even sending ships. A slow smile crossed Darnell's face. Then the galaxy is finally listening. Deep inside the United Earth Defense Command, Dr. Ilara sat surrounded by data screens. Her hands were trembling, not from fear but exhaustion. She had survived the nebula, but her body was still weak from radiation burns. Still she worked. "Every second counts," she whispered to herself. She had one goal, to build a weapon that could end the swarm's core once and for all. Something powerful enough to strike at the heart of the living machine. They called it Project Dawnfire, a weapon powered by pure antimatter, guided by human AI intuition and instinct. If it worked, it could save them all. If it failed, it would tear a hole in space itself. A few days later, the Council made their move. On the capital world of Acheron, the grand chamber filled with chaos. Ambassadors shouted, blaming one another. And then, the Seraphite delegate, the same one who had mocked Earth months ago, stood up. "The humans have brought chaos to the galaxy. Their lies will destroy us all." But before he could finish, the entire building trembled. The floor split open. Screams filled the hall. From beneath the planet's surface, enormous spires of living metal broke through the ground. The swarm had arrived. They had come for the Council first. The broadcast of the attack spread in seconds. Every ship, every world, every creature saw the Council's towers crumble under the swarm's assault. The galaxy's so-called leaders begged for help. And the only fleet that answered was human. Above Earth, 100 human ships powered up, glowing silver and blue under the light of the sun. Their engines roared as they formed a single united armada. Darnell stood before his crew. His voice echoed across the comms, reaching every pilot and engineer, every soldier and civilian who had volunteered to fight. "The Council mocked us. The galaxy doubted us. But we're not fighting for pride. We're fighting for every world that can't defend itself. This time humanity won't be silent. This time we rise. A thunderous cheer erupted through the fleet. The largest ships, the Valiant Dawn, Luna Spear, and Atlas Prime, led the charge. Their destination. Acheron, now burning under swarm invasion. The battle that followed would be remembered for centuries. The swarm poured through space in endless waves, millions of living ships, their bodies glowing like molten stars. But humanity fought back with precision and fury. Alara's voice guided the fleet from her command center. Keep the formation. Focus on the larger entities. The smaller ones will adapt. Hit them before they evolve. Darnell's ship dove through the chaos, plasma cannons firing in blinding arcs. Reyes coordinated the rescue pods for alien survivors trapped on the surface. Even the Seraphite. Once enemies, now fought beside human soldiers and desperate. United, hours turned into eternity. Every explosion lit up the sky like fireworks over a dying world. The Valiant Dawn was battered, engines failing, but it still flew. Ilara, Darnell called. Is Dawnfire ready? Her voice came through the static. Almost, I just need another minute. We don't have a minute, he shouted as a massive swarm beast latched onto their hull. Reyes ran to the weapons console. Then buy her that minute. He fired every remaining missile. The explosion tore the creature apart, but the ship's shields collapsed. Darnell looked through the cracked viewport. At the heart of the swarm's main hive ship, glowing like a sun. All ships, he said calmly, fall back to minimum safe distance. We'll finish this. Ilara's trembling hands hovered over the control switch. Her voice was soft, almost a whisper. For Earth, for everyone. She pressed the trigger. A beam of blinding light erupted from the Valiant Dawn. It cut through the void, slicing straight into the hive's core. For one terrifying second, everything went still. Then, the universe roared. The explosion expanded like a sunrise, white, gold, and infinite. The swarm screamed as their neural links burned, their ships collapsing in on themselves. And then, silence. When the light faded, the nebula was gone. The swarm was gone. Only the broken fleet remained, floating in peace for the first time in generations. Reyes looked out at the stars. Is it over? Darnell nodded slowly. For now. But they'll remember. He looked down at Earth on the main screen, small, fragile, but shining brighter than ever. We didn't just survive, he said quietly. We showed them who we are. Weeks later, the rebuilt council, smaller, humbler, and now held in orbit above Earth, held a new meeting. At the center seat stood Ambassador Reyes. No laughter, no mockery. Only respect, he spoke clearly. The galaxy must never forget. When others turned away, humanity stood. When the stars burned, humanity fought. We are one people among many. But when we rise for all. The chamber filled with silence, then applause that echoed through the stars. Far above, Captain Darnell watched from the observation deck of the Valiant Dawn. Beside him, Ilara smiled faintly, a bandage still wrapped around her arm. You think they'll keep their promise this time? She asked. He looked out into the endless stars. Maybe, but even if they don't, he smiled. They know we will.